Sometimes, the most significant moments in our lives arrive quietly, without warning or fanfare. They slip into ordinary evenings and transform them into turning points we'll remember forever. For Melanie Carter, a 32-year-old accountant living in Seattle, that moment came on a rainy Tuesday night in November. A night that would shake the foundations of everything she thought she knew about herself and show her what she was truly capable of becoming. Melanie sat in her dimly lit apartment, staring at the rejection email on her laptop screen. It was the 5th one this month. "Thank you for your interest, but we've decided to move forward with other candidates who better fit our current needs." She closed the laptop harder than necessary and leaned back against the worn couch cushions. The rain hammered against the windows, matching the storm brewing inside her chest. For 3 years, she had been applying for management positions, trying to break free from the suffocating routine of her current job. For 3 years, the answer had always been the same: no. "Maybe they're right," she whispered to the empty room. "Maybe I'm not leadership material." Her phone buzzed. It was her younger sister, Emma. "Still coming to my presentation tomorrow? I'm terrified." Melanie smiled despite her mood. Emma, 26 and fresh out of graduate school, was presenting her research to a panel of industry experts. She typed back, "Wouldn't miss it for the world. You're going to be amazing." As she hit send, something twisted in Melanie's stomach. Here she was, encouraging her sister to be brave, while she herself was ready to give up. The irony wasn't lost on her. She stood up and walked to the window, watching the rain create rivers down the glass. Her reflection stared back, tired eyes, shoulders slumped in defeat. When had she become this person? Where was the girl who had graduated top of her class, who had once believed she could change the world? "I'm 32 years old," she said to her reflection. "If not now, when?" The question hung in the air, heavy with implications she wasn't ready to face. So she did what she always did when life felt overwhelming. She grabbed her jacket and went for a walk. The rain had softened to a drizzle by the time Melanie stepped outside. The streets were nearly empty, just the occasional car swishing past on wet pavement. She walked without direction, letting her feet carry her through familiar neighborhoods that suddenly felt foreign in the darkness. She found herself at Pioneer Square, sitting on a bench under a street lamp. The square was deserted except for an elderly man sitting on a bench across from her, feeding pigeons from a paper bag despite the light rain. "Bit late for bird feeding," Melanie called out, surprising herself. The man looked up and smiled, his face creasing into 1,000 wrinkles. "Birds don't know what time it is. They just know when they're hungry." He gestured to the bench beside him. "You look like you could use some company." Melanie hesitated, then crossed over and sat down. There was something comforting about this stranger, something that made her feel less alone. "I'm Walter," he said, offering his hand. "Melanie." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the pigeons peck at the scattered seeds. "You look troubled," Walter said finally. "Old man's observation. Feel free to tell me I'm wrong." Melanie laughed, a short, bitter sound. "You're not wrong. I feel stuck, like I'm watching everyone else move forward while I'm frozen in place." "What's got you frozen?" "Fear, I guess." The admission surprised her. She'd never said it out loud before. "Fear that I'm not good enough, that I'll try and fail, and everyone will see that I was never as capable as I pretended to be." Walter nodded slowly, scattering more seeds. You know what I learned in my 78 years? Fear is just imagination working overtime. We're so good at imagining all the ways things can go wrong that we forget to imagine how they might go right. But what if I really do fail? Then you fail, he shrugged. And then you get back up and try again. That's what people do. The only real failure is never trying at all. He turned to look at her directly. Let me ask you something. 10 years from now, what will you regret more? Trying and failing, or never trying at all? The question hit Melanie like a physical blow. She knew the answer immediately. The rejection emails stung, yes, but they weren't what kept her up at night. What haunted her was the growing certainty that she was letting her life slip away, one safe, comfortable, unfulfilling day at a time. I'd regret not trying, she whispered. There's your answer then. Walter stood up, brushing crumbs from his jacket. The night's getting cold, and my wife will worry if I'm late. He paused, looking down at her with kind eyes. Whatever you're afraid of, Melanie, I promise you it's not as scary as living with regret. He walked away, leaving Melanie alone with her thoughts and the pigeons and the gentle rain. She sat there for a long time, Walter's words echoing in her mind. When had she become so afraid? She tried to pinpoint the moment, but it was more like a slow accumulation. Each small disappointment, each criticism, each rejection building a wall between her and her dreams. But walls could be torn down. Melanie pulled out her phone and opened her notes app. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, then began to type. Things I'm afraid of. Failing publicly. Being rejected. Proving my doubts right. Disappointing others. Not being good enough. Things I'm more afraid of. Being in the same place in 10 years. Never knowing what I could have achieved. Living a life of what-ifs. Losing myself completely. Dying with my dreams still inside me. Looking at the lists, something shifted inside her chest. The second list terrified her far more than the first. She took a deep breath and opened her email. There was a posting she'd seen last week, a senior management position at a tech startup. She'd dismissed it immediately, too ambitious, too much of a stretch, too likely to end in rejection. But what if Walter was right? What if her fear was just imagination working overtime? Her fingers moved before doubt could stop them. She opened her resume and started updating it. Not the careful, conservative version she'd been sending out. This time, she wrote about her real accomplishments, the projects she'd led informally, the times she'd stepped up when no one else would. She wrote about her vision, her ideas, the changes she knew she could make if given the chance. It was past midnight when she finished. The application was honest, ambitious, and completely unlike anything she'd submitted before. It was terrifying. She hovered her finger over the submit button. Just imagination working overtime, she whispered, and pressed send. The walk home felt different. The rain had stopped completely, and the streets gleamed under the streetlights. Melanie felt lighter, as if submitting that application had physically removed a weight from her shoulders. When she got home, she didn't go straight to bed. Instead, she pulled out a notebook, one she'd bought years ago with grand plans that had never materialized. She opened to the first blank page and wrote, "The night everything changed." Then she started listing goals. Not someday goals or maybe goals, but concrete, actionable plans. Apply to 3 leadership positions each week. Take the public speaking course I've been avoiding. Network at least once a month. Start the blog about financial literacy I've been planning. Stop waiting for permission to lead. She stared at the list. It was ambitious. It was scary. It was exactly what she needed. Before she could second-guess herself, she emailed the link to the public speaking course to herself with the subject line, "Register tomorrow. No excuses." Sleep came easier than it had in months. When Melanie woke up the next morning, her first thought wasn't dread about the day ahead. It was excitement about Emma's presentation. At breakfast, she registered for the public speaking course. Then she updated her LinkedIn profile with her new, honest, ambitious summary. Each small action felt like a brick being removed from that wall of fear. That evening, she sat in the audience watching Emma present her research. Her sister's hands shook as she advanced the first slide, her voice wavering slightly. But as she got into her material, something magical happened. Emma transformed. The nervousness fell away, replaced by passion and expertise. She answered questions confidently, smiled at the panel, and owned her moment. When it was over and Emma was surrounded by congratulating professors and peers, she caught Melanie's eye across the room and mouthed, "Thank you." But Melanie was the one who felt grateful. Watching her little sister be brave had reminded her that courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was acting despite it. 3 weeks later, Melanie got a call asking her to interview for the position she'd applied for that rainy night. She said yes before fear could make her hesitate. 2 weeks after that, she got another interview call, this one for a position she'd applied to in her new, braver approach. She didn't get either job. The rejection stung, but they didn't destroy her, because something fundamental had changed that night in Pioneer Square. She'd stopped waiting for permission to become who she wanted to be. She'd stopped letting fear write her story. She kept applying. She took her public speaking course and discovered she was actually good at presentations. She started her blog and people started reading it. She volunteered to lead a project at work and impressed her skeptical boss. For months after that rainy Tuesday night, Melanie got an offer for a director position at a mid-sized company. It was better than any job she'd hoped for, and they wanted her specifically because of her blog and her unique perspective on leadership. When she accepted the offer, she thought about Walter and wondered if he'd somehow known that his words would light a fire in her. She never saw him in Pioneer Square again, but she thought about him often. On her last day at her old job, a younger colleague pulled her aside. "I don't know what changed in you," she said, "but watching you go after what you wanted gave me the courage to apply for grad school. So thank you." Melanie felt tears prick her eyes. That, she realized, was what courage really was, not just changing your own life, but lighting the way for others to change theirs. That night, she pulled out her notebook and turned to that page she'd written on months ago. Under "The night everything changed," she added a new entry. "Tonight, I start my new job. But the real change happened the night I stopped being afraid of failure and started being afraid of never trying. That was the night I learned that we don't find courage. We create it, one scared, uncertain, brave step at a time." She closed the notebook and smiled at her reflection in the window, the same window she'd stared through on that rainy November night. But the woman looking back was different now. Her shoulders were straight, her eyes were clear, and she was smiling. Not because everything was perfect, but because she'd finally learned that she didn't need to be perfect to be worthy of her dreams. Sometimes the most powerful changes come not from having all the answers, but from finally asking the right questions. For Melanie, that question was simple. What would she regret more? trying and failing or never trying at all? The answer changed everything.